brother's keeper. I'm my sister's guide. Standing here together with nothing left to hide. We lift each other up when the world feels torn apart. We're keepers of the flame. We're the healers of the heart.
All right. Hey, everybody. Look, I got my pictures all straight now. The other day, yesterday or something like that, they were up and they were all kind of crooked and dipped. And,
oh, yeah. That would have drove me nuts.
Oh, especially it's like right behind you, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so everybody, this is Sam.
Hi,
Some
guys.
of you may not know Sam. Some of you will. Anyway, I am just really excited that he's here. What can I say?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to have
here.
a lot of people in the chat. It is not my practice to follow along a lot with the chat, simply because I'll be talking to the person versus the chat. If you have a question, capital Q's, comment, capital C's, my mods, so Body Illusion, Crystal, Indigo, Twin, I know I have a few more, will be in there. And I'm hoping they'll be able to star them for me. I'm streaming to my channel and The Village, so it might be difficult for them to do. Anyway, we'll figure it out.
That's so cool. I already see some familiar names. Hi, everybody.
Yes, Angie Mo, I don't know you, but nice to see you. Glad to see
know
you.
Angie Mo.
Yeah.
Love her so
Body
much.
Illusion. Body Illusion. How do you feel about miracles? Like legit Jesus miracles in this day and age?
I'm sorry. My wife was asking for a link to the show. What's it called?
My Other's Keeper.
Hey, honey, it's My Other's Keeper.
Huh?
My Other's Keeper is the name of the channel.
Perfect.
Okay. She goes, I totally know what that is.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
She must be a subscriber. All right, yeah.
I hope she is. That'd be lovely.
Yeah.
So we've got Mary from Blessed to Crochet here. We've got.
I haven't seen her in a while. It's so nice to see her.
Yes, absolutely. Samara is here. She's my usual Sam. So yeah, and no, a lot of the people I've had on my channel, like I was telling you before, have had really interesting, in a lot of times, very painful lives. And you are absolutely no different. Like I am no different. I've, it's just been one of those things. So yeah, I love hearing you every morning.
Thank you so much. That you don't even know that really there's no way I can start crying in the first 5 minutes. So I said, because whenever I do my testimony, sometimes I get emotional, but I'm emotional about that because I really don't know where the morning is going. I really don't. I don't know what format I'm going to continue to do. I don't know. I just don't know, but I just know I have to get up every morning and do it. God is telling me to do it. So I just don't know how it's all going to pan out. It was kind of a rough start, but an amazing start, Well,
that's the thing. Sometimes we start in a way that we don't think is going to work. And then it's like, but look, God had a plan. Who knew?
Yeah, he sure does. And that's just it. So many times since I've been saved, I'm just like, what did I do? I'm on my knees every morning, and I know it's not by works, and I know that, and I live by that. I have to, because, I am a dirty, filthy rag, and there's, I don't do anything right, but, in the eyes of God, but I try to please him as much as possible. I ask before major decisions. I always ask myself, is this pleasing God? I always ask myself that first. And then I ask myself, is this furthering my recovery? Right. I used to do it the other way around. I used to do it the other way around, and I filtered. I had like a recovery filter to God. But after I was saved, that flipped, and my life kind of changed for the better. You know, that I filter around my recovery.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
amazing. Yeah.
Crystal has a good point here. We are no stranger to tears in this particular chat here.
Oh, good.
Something that I realized, I don't know, a few months ago now, is that salt is used as a cleanser. It will actually sanitize.
Yeah.
Water is used as a cleanser. You need tears are salt water.
Yeah, they sure are. Yeah.
And I think there's a reason for that. You know, it's not. Yeah. Anyway. So this is good.
So I love your question. You asked me how do I feel about miracles?
Yes.
You know, they're all throughout the Bible, of course. And you know, I used to say, well, you know, that used to be one of the things that I pushed God away, was that, you know, why, if God is real and like all of that is real, you know, that happened before us and Jesus and the resurrection, if all of that is real, why aren't things like that happening now? And and so then so it was very easy for me to just say, you know, it's not real. Or if miracles were happening then miracles would be happening now. Well, lo and behold, miracles do still happen now.
They sure do.
They just don't write. You know, the Bible is finished and complete. You know, if it wasn't, there'd be all these modern stories of miracles happening.
We have one right here in the chat, by the way.
What's that?
Right
a miracle?
Here in the chat. Body illusion. Yeah. Okay. Do you know the story about what happened with her? Okay. So what happened was she had a kidney failure, and just like her kidneys failed. Now, my doctor has told me, because I have diabetes, I have to be careful with my kidneys, because once they fail, they're done. They don't come back. Her kidneys failed. She was taken to the hospital. She went through 3 rounds of dialysis, and God brought them back to health.
Wow.
Even her doctors were like, that doesn't happen. So we have a walking, talking miracle right over there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Amazing. I love this lady.
I always say, and you might have heard me say it before, God is the great healer. He can heal anything. And I always, you know, a lot of addicts will say, you know, well, you know, I'm a miracle because, you know, I don't use anymore. And I say that too. But I have a little stuff to back it up. You know, my desires, my fleshly desires, changed instantly when I asked Jesus to be my Lord and Savior. I mean, literally instantly. And all the little things that I started getting convicted over things that, like, little white lies that you tell when you're texting, things like that. I was getting convicted instantly, and I was like, what? This is real. You know, there's no way that I spent all those years of being a liar and an addict and, you know, just lying about things like, you know, hey, can you come over tonight? Oh, no. I'm busy with, you know, so-and-so. We're really, my feet are up. I got a beer in my hand and I'm watching the game. Right. Yeah. But, you know, I had to make it something more bigger than, and all those little weird, like lies and things that we do, when we're not saved or it doesn't even like when we're not saved, but, just that we do as humans. Right. I would do those things. And once I was saved, those things almost instantly, if they didn't stop, I was for sure convicted about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
And like strongly convicted. Like I'm the first year, as a Christian and born again, I hit the back button on doing text probably 10 times a day. Because I was catching myself. Yes. And then I would tell people, and they're like, look, you don't have to tell me every time you decided not to lie to me.
Well, but
My friends are getting sick of
sometimes,
it.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Awakened by the Looking Glasses Reflection, her name is
Mhm.
Misha. And she is right. Every one of us is a miracle. She is one of these people who've been on this channel. She has helped me personally grow like you wouldn't believe. But again,
Mhm.
her story is just insane. You need to go through
Yeah.
my playlist and read the Misha stuff because it's
I will.
pretty
I
awesome.
will. I'll check it out.
It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. And Body Illusion, she's the one who had the kidney stuff going on. She is here for a reason. And yeah,
Mhm.
figuring out what it is. Yeah.
And that's tough, right? Last year I went through a really bad year, and we came back to live in Billings, and I've talked
Right.
a little bit about this before. We came back to
Yeah.
Billings, and I was telling everyone about, the worst year I've had, since I've been to Montana and since I've been saved. And, everyone was like, no, God's got something big for you. God's got something, in store for you. God's got something big for you. And then you're just like, okay, well, what is it? And I do have a problem with like impatient prayer. Like during the day, I do like this real quick, like, oh, I need to say a prayer for this, or I need to say a prayer for that. And, but I do try to get on my knees in the morning to pray. Just, we are at the foot of God when we pray.
Yeah.
And if I don't mind bowing to my creator, I am just a creature,
Absolutely.
What was I saying with that? I was, what was I talking about? What was I saying? I was
See, I'm
talking about,
so present in the moment that I have no idea what 30 seconds ago was. It's kind of sad.
yeah. I was talking about something.
Impatient prayers is what Misha's
Impatient prayer. Right. It was just before that. Just about knowing what God has in store for us. So, so I'm really bad about like praying, but not listening. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can just be like, what is it? What is it? But I don't stop and listen. So now since I'm not tattooing as much, and I've become like a pseudo YouTuber, right? That
you're a real YouTuber.
I know. I just say it. I love to self-deprecate. You guys all know that about me.
I hear you. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah. So I'm finding a lot more time to meditate, and in those quiet times, I'm really hearing those answers, and I'm seeing like the little signs, like God, God like needs me over here, and He needs me here, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
See,
absolutely.
Here, I need that virtual tissue.
Misha had said a little bit ago, being a better Christian doesn't not make me better than anyone else. And no, it doesn't make me any better. It just makes me a better me. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep.
And that's exactly right.
Yeah.
God brought you here, Sam. I am, for one, very grateful for many reasons. That is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. He sure did. And I'm not going to... That's my wife. Please let him know that I haven't been in chats a lot this week, but it's been a hard. Oh no, that's blessed. Oh, she's talking to my blessed. Wife. Oh,
yes,
okay.
But I thought I'd put it up just in case.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, her aunt passed recently, and she was talking earlier in the chat about having the miracle was one last hug, being able to get together with her aunt in person, have a hug. Her aunt was still healthy enough to be able to travel. Do a few things, and it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. So that's just wonderful.
So cool. Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
that is.
Yeah, Misha, I steal things from memes all the time. Yeah, we just don't call me a thief to do it. They say that's just called Facebook.
Yeah. People used to get really upset about that on Facebook and Instagram. If you like, where you had to say, you had to like give them a shout out if you used it. Or I think, or there used to be like a little 3-letter thing. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah,
I'm old. I forget stuff.
I only go on Facebook to advertise my tattooing. That's the only thing I use it for. And like I don't communicate with my kids on Facebook at all. Yeah, I just use it for tattooing. Every once in a while, my mom will pop up on there playing pickleball. You know, it blows me away. I'm like, Mom, you're 75. Yeah.
I know, right?
Actually,
my
older.
mom
She's
said until
almost 80.
76, like she turned 70, until she was 75, she felt great. Once she turned 76, she felt every one of those 76 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like a light switch. So, and Mariana, hi, nice to meet you. I'm hoping we can get to know each other a little better. This is
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, she can be.
Actually, something that would be fun is on April 1st, I'm doing a panel discussion about love. And we're going to do the quiz, the 5 love languages. And I just have it on a piece of paper and you can score yourself. So you don't have to let anybody know what's going on. But then we're going to talk about what these things mean to us. So, to have either you or your wife or both on that panel would be fabulous.
Well, her head's probably exploding right now because we were talking about the love languages yesterday. And
see, God does these things.
Yeah, God does these things. And we were talking because we see a Christian marriage counselor, and I thought we were supposed to do a love language session with her, but I guess we haven't done it yet. So we really we kind of know what each other's love language is, but we really would like to investigate that more. So
it's wonderful.
Cognizant of it. I do know a little bit of what.
Well, here's the questions on Gary Chapman. He's the one who did that. So these are the questions that Gary Chapman would ask. And then basically it just gives you a score and you see where 1, 2, 3, or 4, or I think there's might be 6 of them, 5 or 6, 5 love languages and new ways. But yeah, no, it's cool because my husband and I did that quiz maybe a year ago by now. And we found, we individually did it. We found that we actually have exactly the same love language by exactly the same percentage. You are that. Yeah. And for us, it is physical touch. Physical touch does not mean sex. It means we're holding hands all the time. We're sitting on the couch, my arm's over here on his shoulder. Just the little things, just that physical connection feeds my heart. Right. And it's the same for him. So just to be blessed with being able to have that. So we'll talk then about as well. I have a list of questions and stuff like that we will talk about. So I have a few people who have already agreed to be on the panel.
Oh, I know she would love to be. I would definitely love to know what my love language is. So I could, let her know what it is. She'll probably tell you. Yeah, she would probably tell you right now that it's the my love language is leave me alone in my man cave. But
solitude. It's your love language is solitude.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean I don't want to spend every second with her at all. If she could
still need your space.
Yeah. Well, and I just think if she could just be here by my side and we wouldn't have to talk about memes or videos on TikTok or she doesn't really do TikTok, but Facebook Reels. I do like some of them, and some of them are super make me emotional. But you guys all know I'm an emotional guy anyways, but she knows the ones that'll get me. She'll be like, honey, you have to watch this one. Cause I do ignore a lot of them, not on purpose. I just don't check, but she'll be like, no, you have to watch this one, and I'll watch it. And I'll know right away that it's going to make me cry.
And the love language that you would have is quality time. That would be your love language.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So it's right in there. Yeah, so cool.
Neat.
I'm just going to bring up Mary's comment here. Her devotions leading up to her aunt's passing were all beautiful images of what heaven would be like. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I was so grateful that
yeah.
God had me go through those because it was comforting. Absolutely. Mary, have you ever read the book Heaven by Randy Alcorn? It is fantastic. I did a book study. There's a book out called Love Wins. And in that book, what's his name? Oh, I've forgotten his name. Anyway, the author, his premise is that everybody will go to heaven eventually because, God is love and love wins, right?
That's right.
So he took, well, see, now I'm going to disagree with you on that one. In that, he took all of the references to love and grace and mercy, and he expanded on them beautifully. Any reference to judgment, wrath, or hell, he just said, oh, no. Those don't matter. And he used, I think, up to 10 different scriptures throughout the book. There's a book out and a video out called 23 Minutes in Hell. You need to watch it. If you haven't seen it, it is incredible. And he uses over 100 and something different scriptures. So I bought the book so I could actually read it and see if in context what he's saying makes sense. And it does. Everything he says in his story, absolutely, according to the Bible, makes sense. And then Heaven by Randy Alcorn, also, that one had 200 and some or 300 and something verses that I looked up. And every single one of them, one I found was not really in context making sense. But 99.9% of them made sense in biblical context. So that just, I look at that and I'm like, okay, let's see what is the truth. Which one biblically makes sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I have heard of both of those books, and that's not the book where the guy actually has gone to hell, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like in the thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In the same way that John went to heaven in the book of Revelation, it was a spiritual. Yes. Anyway. So it's fascinating.
Yeah. It sounds fascinating. I have heard the opposition to that book just a little bit. I can't remember what it was exactly. But I'm I need to see for myself kind of guy. So yeah. But
and Cosmic,
super interesting.
Absolutely, your love language is kindness. This is the spiritual gifts, hers is kindness. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So we are here, now that we've been in here for 25 minutes, we are here to hear Sam's story of how he came to where he is now in his spiritual journey. I'm not going to be looking at the chat very much anymore. It's because I'm going to be paying really a lot of attention to Sam. If you do, like I said, capital Q's, capital C's, and we'll figure it out at the end. I'll star your questions and comments. So Sam, tell me, what was your life as a kid growing up?
I had a really, really cool childhood. I lived in Los Angeles, close to the ocean, got to spend a lot of time in the ocean. But my parents did get divorced when I was 5. And we had actually moved to Ohio. We lived in Ohio the first time they got divorced. And I remember, they got remarried and divorced again. Yeah. To each other. Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. And they tried it a third time. And my brother and I were old enough to tell them, no, it's not.
Yeah, just
not
say
going to
no.
happen. Wow. And it blows me away because I know the main reasons now as an adult. I've talked to both my parents about it. and I know the reasons why they tried to make it work and couldn't make it work. And it was some things that my dad was doing, and they just couldn't get, my mom just couldn't get past it, but she really tried. She sure did. So, and I understand now, and my dad has always understood, but we were too young to know those details. But anyway, so I would go back and forth. My dad stayed in Ohio, then in Michigan. He was a General Motors worker. And so I would go back and forth between my parents. And then when I got in my teens and a little more rebellious, my mom would ship me off to my dad. It wasn't like just going for the summer. It would be like the middle of the school year. You're going to live with your dad. I can't, deal with this.
I can't handle this.
And
I can only take so much.
Yeah, I wasn't really bad. Like, I didn't do drugs till way later in life. I tried pot in high school and I hated it. I didn't realize I was an addict until I was almost 30. That was the first time. Yeah. I didn't go in and out of jail as a juvenile. I never went to jail as a juvenile, and never went to jail until I was 29. But but the issues my mom had with me were behavior. I just really didn't like school. But I graduated, but I just, I would just go in, take the tests, and I would never do my homework. Do you know what
but I'm sure did you pass the tests?
I always pass the tests.
See, the thing is, you're brilliant. You just, you weren't being challenged. Had they actually been challenging you in class, like mentally challenging you, you would have found it interesting and you would have stayed.
I agree with that.
That's my theory.
I agree with that. There used to be a time where it would have been hard for me to agree with that, but that's what it was. I was bored. I'd rather, be, if I wasn't going to be challenged in school, I'd rather be goofing off with my friends. And unfortunately, the other kids that were ditching school or not, doing their homework, weren't for the same reasons why I was. They were failing. They were getting held back grades, but I was passing by the skin of my teeth because I was acing all my tests and I was turning in just enough homework, by force. My mom would sit with me or my dad would sit with me like, no, you're doing your homework. And I just happened to.
I got grounded for an entire semester. I got grounded for a semester because my grades started tanking when I started dating a particular guy.
Oh, really?
And I was not handing in any assignments at all. He ended up we got engaged. It was a terrible, terrible, toxic relationship. Fortunately, did not end up with that one.
Good. That's good. And I kind of did that almost really into my early 20s. I would live on my own, and now my mom would be like, what, just come stay with us. I'd have issues with roommates or rent. And I would go live in Hollywood. We lived really close to Hollywood, and I'd go live in Hollywood and work as a grip in the movie industry. And I did that for a while. And I was just always kind of back and forth. And I did have some children along the way. I have 3 other daughters. They are all with the same person. And and she's still alive. That's not my wife that was killed in a car accident. That came much later. Yeah, that came much later. And I just kind of was a nomad, really. Living, I have to back up a little bit. With my parents, I did have a great childhood, but we did move around a lot. So and my parents weren't in the military or anything. My mom was just kind of a gypsy. She loved to move. And we moved around constantly, but we would move around in the same town. We wouldn't, sometimes we'd move to a different place, far away when I was really young. But I think I counted it in my school chart. It was something like 36 different schools from first grade to sixth
Wow.
grade. Yeah,
You
it
beat
was a
me.
lot. Yeah, it was a lot.
When I was 18, I figured that we had moved 15 different times by the
Yeah,
time I was 18. Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a
And so
lot.
you develop skills like people skills because you learn how to make friends. You either recluse, or
Yes.
you learn how to make friends. So, and that's what I did. Like I learned how to
Yeah.
make friends at an early age, and I just became really good at it. And I know when I'm being too much, and I know when just to pull back a little bit. I read a letter that I wrote in treatment on manipulation. I don't know if you were there for that live.
Yes.
When I read that letter that I wrote, about manipulation.
I remember you
but
talking about it. I don't remember if I was there when you actually read it. No, you did read it. I do remember that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was learned as a child, just and being an empath. So,
Yeah.
and I used to, everyone always tell me like, "Oh, I'm an empath. I'm an empath." I'd be like, "What is that?" And I figured that out at in my mid-20s that oh, I'm an empath. I always know when something is wrong with somebody, and but with when you develop a low self-esteem, or you become a people pleaser or codependent, that being an empath can kind of be I don't want to say it's ever a bad thing, but it affects that
It's
way of
difficult.
thinking and navigating with people. Yeah, it is, because if I feel like something's wrong, or like with you, or I'm feeling I want to fix it, and if you need anything from me, I'm going to tell you yes, and then I'm going to try to figure it out. If I can do it or not, I'm going to say yes, and that can be a problem sometimes.
Yeah, you need to learn how to say no for self-care.
Yeah, as an adult, for sure. Even as a kid, but you don't want to be that guy who always overpromises and underdelivers. And I kind of became that guy. I tried my best. In my heart of hearts, I intended to do what I agreed to, or to help you with something, or just to be there to listen. I intended to do that, but I'm promising so many people so many things that a few people were going to have to get disappointed, and and that's kind of how I navigated, my childhood into my early 20s. My wife's the best. She
Misha's saying.
made sure I had water. Huh?
Oh, good. I love what Misha's saying. Ella Enchanted had nothing on me, and it almost killed her. Yeah, like Misha's had to take a couple steps back recently, simply because, like you, she was over committing. And I developed kind of the opposite, in that I would rarely commit because I didn't want to disappoint. So therefore I would never commit. Ask my husband how hard it is to get me to commit to anything. Ironically, I've been committed to this man for 34 years. So there are things I will commit to.
Yeah.
I'm committed.
Well, when you know, right?
White jacket.
Yeah,
that's right. Exactly. Yeah. But it's hard when you know in your heart of hearts that you could be the difference for somebody.
Yes.
As long as you still have the energy to do it. Yeah.
But when someone's counting on you, and not, it can be for something small, and it might not be that big of a deal, but for the big things, and it might be big to them, and you might think that it's nothing. You can really do some damage that way and not know it. And not know it. So, but I don't know. I kind of got a handle on that. In my mid-20s, I kind of got a handle on that. I did kind of redirect that into becoming a workaholic when I became a systems engineer. I just this is, I'll just tell this real quick story. So I knew nothing about computers for a long time. I didn't really know anything about computers until 1993, I would say. And computers were out. People had computers in their homes. You know, rich people mostly, but people had computers. And my mother-in-law at the time gave me this old beat up computer. It was a 486 math coprocessor computer. That probably means nothing to anybody here right now, but if anyone knew that it was like a cash register, basically. It wouldn't even run a cash register today. But so she gave me this and it needed to be worked on. She's like, do you want it? And I just sort of way, I was like, yeah, I'll tinker on it. And I was trying to load some software onto the hard drive. From scratch, I was going to load DOS. It was called DOS at the time. I was going to load DOS onto it. And I couldn't figure out how to make the hard drive communicate with the floppy drive. Anyways, so I called this computer store, and the guy tells me, "Well, did you do the command to, transfer storage, this and that?" And I was like, "No, I had to format the disk and the hard drive." And I was like, "No, I know how to do that." And he gave me a command, and I've told this before. When I was at Microsoft, they kind of went around, hey, what got you into computers? And I used to tell this story. He gave me the command, and it was like, C, semicolon, // and then the command fdisk, C, D. And I did it, and it clicked. I was like, oh, I get this. I get this. And then I just like immersed myself into computer.
The language made sense.
The language made sense like right away.
Yeah.
From that one command. And then after that, I just a year and a half later, I was a systems engineer, a certified licensed systems engineer for Microsoft.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was a really, really trippy thing. All my friends would be like, "What are you doing on that computer? Come on, let's go surfing." I'd be like, "Nah, I'm good, man. I'm good." They're like,
"You became
what?
the nerd."
Yeah, I became the nerd.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so so then I went to work for AT&T at first, and then I helped solve a problem for a guy who worked for Cisco and Microsoft. I helped solve a problem for them. And they offered me a job at Microsoft. They basically came and got me from AT&T because of the way I thought. I was pretty creative with operating systems and hardware configurations, and they hired me. And it was, man, I was so proud.
Wow.
I was so proud. I had never been proud.
Oh, for sure.
Of anything. I thought some jobs were cool, being a grip for the movies, meeting movie stars, things like that was pretty cool. But
that is cool.
Man, when I got that job, I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Pretty
it's
neat.
Like I've done something rather than just I happen to be in the right place. Is this one's I have talent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. It was pretty awesome. Well, fast forward like 2.5 years. I'm doing a big project for Great Western Bank, Washington Mutual out of Washington, Seattle. Ended up buying them out. Anyways, I was in the middle of that transition, and I was doing a big job. My wife went to Seattle to see her sister in a play, and she was killed by a drunk driver in a car accident. And
oh no.
Yeah, it was really hard. And before just a couple of years ago, I was in treatment, was really the first time I had ever dealt with it. It was about 22 years of mourning. I was never in a relationship after that. never had like really any girlfriends or anything. And I mourned her for 22 years. And, and it became self-indulgent after a while, after, 10 years of mourning. There is like it does become kind of self-indulgent. I used it to kind of protect myself. Everybody knew, poor Sam. And I could get away with a lot, of just keeping people away or bringing people in, come comfort me or stay away. I'm in mourning.
So the manipulation factor kind of worked in there.
Yeah. But so the first month after she died, one of my techs used to come check on me. So I took a leave. I took a 30-day leave. I can't remember. They call it something in the corporate world. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a greft, or I can't remember.
Bereavement leave?
Yeah, bereavement leave. Thank you. And he used to come check on me in the mornings. And one morning he came by and he's like, he would bring me food to make sure I was eating. I wasn't eating. All I was doing was drinking. And I was drinking hard. Yeah.
The irony.
Yeah. I never drank like that. Yep.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
A drunk driver killed your wife.
Yep.
And that's what you go into.
Yep.
Full blown
became. Yeah. Yep. Pretty crazy. It's crazy too. And not to, I do digress, but I'm not going to digress tonight. But just real quickly, my best friend committed suicide 2 years ago, and she had relapsed with meth, and her husband at the time, I was really worried about him. I was like, dude, whatever you do, don't use, and he's like, no, that's the last thing I would ever do. I believe this is because she relapsed. And I was like, okay, cool. So then you're safe, right? He wasn't. He ended up using every day again, like really soon afterwards. So I kind of get it.
Yeah.
To an extent. But
I understand it, but I've never been there. So it's one of those things where I can just say, you know what? I've wondered about it, but the pain, you're medicating that pain. You happen to be able to medicate it with alcohol. I have tried, my doctor recently put me on tramadol for some nerve pain. It didn't work. So I don't want to be on something, become dependent on it, and you will have it not work. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'll just go no. So, yeah.
I was hooked on tramadols for a while, and I couldn't. It was hard for me to come off of them.
Yeah.
But so he used to check on me in the mornings, and he would bring me food, and he brought me those little orange juices that McDonald's used to have that had the tin foil.
Yes.
Yeah. So
stab the straw through the cup.
He brought me like an egg McMuffin and this orange juice, and the thing was already peeled back. And he says, "Hey man, I put some speed in your orange juice to get you off the couch." And I'm not thinking meth. I'm not thinking crank. Right? Now, having said that, I've told this story many times. I can say, I didn't know it was that. I think even if I had known, I still would have done it. But I used to say, like if I'd have known it was like crank or crystal meth, I never would have done it. But I in my heart of hearts, I did think he was just giving me some of those, those cross-top mini thins. They were just ephedrine hydrochloride. They were called cross-tops. It was trucker speed. You could buy it at a truck stop.
At any truck stop. Yeah. At
any truck stop. It had pseudoephedrine in it. And I really thought that that's what it was. At the most, maybe, an old, 70 speed, like a Yellow Jacket or a Magnum 350. They had all kinds of weird little speed pills back then. And it wasn't. It was meth. Anyways, I went crazy. It was the best feeling. I was so, say this is normal. I was so below what normal is, just like a normal, like a flat affect, normal mood. I was so below that the speed brought me up so high above that, that it was too much of a mood shift it was too much. So I guess what I'm saying is like I mentally became addicted to it first.
Oh yeah.
First, almost, I
absolutely.
mentally, like instantly, like I never wanted that feeling to go away. Had I been normal and maybe done like a line of it, at a party, drinking, someone said to you, and want to do a little line, and in a moment of weakness, I just did it because I would never do drugs back then. I was 29 and I'd never done anything like that.
Yeah.
So, but I think it would have been, I would have done it and be like, oh yeah, that was all right. I stayed up all night, couldn't get some sleep, couldn't go to sleep. But having been so depressed and then reached so high, it was Satan. It was Satan. He was just like, yeah, and I wasn't saved then. I'd gone to some churches in high school with a girlfriend and did the rock and roll church thing for a little bit. But I was never saved. I never like truly in my heart gave myself to Jesus. Yeah. But I just went crazy. I started dealing to pay for my habit. I ran up all my credit cards. I had really good credit at that time. I lived off my credit cards, was buying drugs with my credit cards, ran up, a huge amount of debt. So I had to start dealing. Then I started trafficking from state to state. My girlfriend, I met that same day, I met my girlfriend who was going to be my girlfriend for the next like 9 months. That I did the speed. I went to the strip bar in Hollywood, met this girl, kind of told her my sad story. And she was like hooked, she just wanted me to be better. And but we did it with drugs. Yeah, she was a fixer for sure. I had her initial tattooed on my wrist forever. I finally covered it. It was
I bet your wife Mariana's going just a little extra curve and it won't be right,
Oh, if I would have had it, if I would have still had it when I got married to Mariana, she would have taken like a razor blade and got it out of there. She would have like, no way, Jose.
That good, huh?
Yeah, she would have been like, no way, Jose. That's off of you. No, she really doesn't trip on stuff like that. But so so I ended up getting in trouble with the law legally with the federal government, and a lot of things happen. I don't really want to get into like all the drug dealing stories. They're really good stories, and I do like telling them, but different day, different thing. Yeah. I really I'm really enjoying this opportunity to talk about how God has changed my life, because I don't really get to do it very often.
Feel free.
Yeah, I go to when I go do my talks at these treatment centers, they always say, don't really talk about God, just say higher power, and they want it, and I agree to do it because I want to help those guys and those gals, so this is lovely to be able to talk openly and freely here today. So awesome. I'm really, really enjoying it. But
cool.
So anyway, so
by the
yeah,
way,
so
your wife said she would not use a razor blade to cut off the tattoo. Your wife is standing up for herself. You go, girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah. Okay, that's all right. Maybe a soldering iron or something. I don't know.
No, curling iron. She's a hairdresser. You got to use the straightener. Come on, give the girl some credit here.
Yeah, she has this like curling iron. She's speaking of curling irons that she wants to get. It's like $600.
Yes,
it's crazy. Have you ever heard of something like that?
Oh, totally.
That's
absolutely. I've had hair cutting scissors that 20-something years ago cost $550.
Yeah,
that was 20-something years ago. So they'd be probably double that now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, she has some really nice shears somewhere. I think they're missing right now, but yeah. Hazley. Yeah.
Okay.
When anything's
My
missing,
girls
I'm just
learned at a
like,
young age. My girls learned at a young age, only mommy cuts hair. Anybody else cuts hair in the family, they go bald.
yeah, that's right.
And I don't threaten. That's something else they learned. I do not make threats. I make promises.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's cool.
I was a mean mommy. Mean mommy.
I bet you weren't.
Anyway.
But possibly,
No,
maybe
really.
strict, possibly. Yeah.
Yes, I was strict. Yes.
Did you get saved later in life? Have you always been saved?
I first asked Christ into my heart when I was 4. I was watching a Billy Graham crusade. My mom and dad worked
love
during
Billy
the day.
Graham.
I know, right? They worked during the day, and for half an hour between when my mom and dad were both at work, I had to wait half an hour for the babysitter to come. I was 3. When you're 3 years old, 30 minutes feels like a whole day. So I was petrified. I would sit on this big chair, and I was so scared that the monster under the chair was going to grab my feet and pull me under. And I was certain that was going to happen. So when Billy Graham was talking, and it just recently occurred to me, he was talking obviously about Psalm 139. I was fearfully and wonderfully made. Where can I go from your eyes? Even the darkness cannot hide because for you, dark is the same as light. And it's like, wait, that's what I needed. So when I was 4 years old, I asked Jesus into my heart, and I said, just because, or even though you're big and I'm only little, can you come into my heart? And from that time on, I was basically protected. That same year, I was SA'd by a cousin of mine, and I didn't remember it at all until I was 16 years old. So God protected me from that memory. And then I know it wasn't a false or implanted memory. Like a lot of people say, oh, that's a false memory. I confirmed the situation with my sister, who did not know about the abuse, but she remembered the situation. So I know it really, really happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I walked away from God in my late teens. My whole sad sob story is kind of all over the place, but my late teens, my parents split up, and I decided that, being good got me nowhere. Let's see what being bad could do. And it got me nowhere faster.
Yeah,
so that's, isn't that the way it goes? So after a few years of that, it's like, you know what, when my husband and we started dating and did our own thing, whatever. But once we decided to have kids, both of us had grown up in Christian homes. And we're like, we do know what is right. We do know how we want to raise our children. So we decided to go back to church. And at that point, as an adult, I made the very conscious decision, this is where I'm going. I had been saved for all of those years. Totally.
Sure.
I was all in. But then I walked away, and I had to come back. And God used the walking away portion so I could do things like this channel, listen to people talk, and really get it when they're talking about these things that they had to go through, right? Yeah. It's the same with yourself, with your story. If you hadn't been through all of the terrible things that you did, that were done to you, the choices you made, your wife who had been killed, all of that terrible stuff. Yeah. You would not be able to minister to the people you can today. And they may not call it ministering, but it is.
Oh no, I call it ministering. Absolutely. Yeah. In some circles, I guess. Yeah. I guess I don't in others. So, So, and I was when I was on my way to jail, and I had no spirituality whatsoever. I was angry. Once I got sober, I became really angry. I became really angry. I just wanted to fight. I wasn't a tough guy. I wasn't the kid who got in fights at school. I didn't know how to fight. My first few fights in jail, I lost. And I lost other fights too. Yeah. Had to get them out of the way, get those losses out of the way.
To show up.
Yeah. And that's exactly, you're amazing. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I had to show up.
Yeah.
And the other inmates, make you, they just do. They need to see that you have, heart, that you're not, pardon the term, but a punk.
Chutzpah.
Yeah,
exactly.
There you go.
Chutzpah, cajones, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I mention my previous fluency? I'm fluent in trucker with a pirate accent.
Oh, you did? Yeah, you did. Yeah, that's badass. Hell yeah. So, so I was real angry, wanted to fight all the time. I used to work out. I started working out, became really big and, muscly. And you see all my tattoos. I dove right into the culture. And I'm going for a lack of a better term, we'll just call it culture, the convict culture. And dove right in.
Culture. It really is.
Yeah.
You
Dove right
have your
in.
own language, you have your own way of life, traditions, all of that stuff.
Ideology.
It's total culture.
I love the ideology. In the feds, everything is by race, So I was never a racist growing up. I'm half Mexican. I grew up in LA. I had friends who were every walk of life in high school. My high school was so mixed with Koreans and Vietnamese and Cambodians and Russians and African American. It was just a beautiful high school.
Nice.
I recognize that now. I didn't think so at the time. I would love to go back to turn back that clock. I would have been there every day, killing it. And just being grateful that I was in such an amazing place. But anyway, so I took on that role, became kind of a boss, because I had that from growing up and being able to make friends, like I just talked about, having that skill, that manipulation skill of knowing people and knowing, I kind of manipulated my way into becoming we'll just call it a shot caller. And I joined a prison. Yeah, I joined a prison gang, and it was a trip. It was all fake though. And I've told this in other interviews that I've done. I was a fraud from the moment I chose to take on that lifestyle. None of it was who I was inside, but I was in so much pain from losing my wife. That I held on to that and I deserved everything that I gave and I deserved everything that I got, in there. And I just became just not a good person.
I'm just going to add a little context here. For some people who don't know what a shot caller is, what does that mean in prison culture? Because
so
that's a very specific position.
Yeah, I rose in the ranks in my prison gang. And it really just by doing the Jedi mind trick, you know what I mean? And the other heads of the other prison gangs liked me. They liked how I communicated, that I didn't take things to a riot level. I tried to de-escalate situations all the time. And the wardens and the captains, really, it was a warden, an associate warden, who made me a shot caller. It wasn't the convict. Yeah, it's a real fast story. We got locked down. Some Puerto Rican guys stabbed some Cuban guys. We got locked down. One of the white guys got involved, and the warden came and got me to speak for the white guys, because he always seen me out there with everybody, and that I was friends with everybody, and even the other races. And I was in an all white gang. And once he called me to do that, and I got the yard off lockdown, everyone just turned to me. It was the weirdest thing. Yeah. Everyone just kind of turned to me. If I went to a different prison. Yeah, it was super cool. Now, if I would have gone to another prison, which I did, I wouldn't have had that role. There would already be someone in that role, and I would just be a soldier or a crash test dummy like the rest of them. Yeah. but yeah.
Okay, so we're
anyway,
going to go past the prison now. So we're going to continue on.
Yep. Past the prison. A lot of stuff happened in prison. I persecuted Christians while I was in prison. I really did. And what I mean by that was that I didn't believe in God. And the Christian car, and when I didn't like pick on them and beat them up, but I just said, get away from me. I don't want anything to do with any of you guys, because a lot of them were snitches and told on their cases, or they had sex offenses, but everyone else left the Christians alone. But I just wanted nothing to do with them. And
okay. My dad was one of them who had sex offenses, but they never told at the prison what he had done. So he got left alone.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah.
There were some situations like that at a couple of the places I was at too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I tell that part of the story because of who I become, right? And
exactly.
Right. And not to like relate myself to Paul, not even close.
But you can relate yourself to Mike Warnke.
That's right.
You gotta take
That's
that.
Right. Yes. Was that
I'm
you that
very
came
familiar
up
with Warnke.
Mike Warnke's name? Yeah.
It might have. It was me and somebody else at about the same time. So yeah, no, I remember Warnke from the 70s.
His testimony was amazing, right?
Isn't it?
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and so I get out and I go back a few times, on violations, just 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. But I finally I go to court. This is the last time as a not being saved. So I go to court. The judge is like, I live in LA, but I have to go to court in Montana. The judge is like, nope, that's it. You're not going back to LA. If you can't, get your crap together, you're going to live here, because I'm not going to pay every time you F up and bring you back and forth from LA to here. So, and I fought it. I'm like, no way, I'm not living in Montana. And I was homeless for a little bit. Yeah, I was homeless for a little bit.
That sucks.
Yeah, it did. But this little old guy took me in, and he was a Christian, but he didn't get along with any of the pastors in town, and that's a whole nother story. But he had a little church that he would do at his house, and that's when I got saved. He brought me to the Lord, and he did it by compassion. He did it by when no one else was there and I was homeless. He gave me a place to rest my head, and
that's right.
When I thought it was all over, when I thought it was done, and it wasn't like he didn't like just bring me in and I was like, oh yeah, I'll take Jesus, man. If Jesus is like feeding me, and it wasn't like that. I still was resistant a little bit, but I was so grateful, and it softened me. It softened me enough to have seen all the signs, because God had been intruding in my life for the whole year previous to meeting this guy, right? So once I got soft enough, my heart was softened enough to realize all the little things God was doing in my life, and all the little weird times when all I had to listen to was a sermon. Like, that's totally bizarre.
Yes.
Because I would listen to that sermon, I'd be like, what's this feeling? This is a weird feeling. Right. And this guy, one time we were out in the cages walking, we were locked up in the hole, that's where you're like locked down all the time. And I was like, man, I don't know what this feeling is. I listened to these sermons last night, and he's like, man, that's the Holy Spirit. That's the Holy Spirit. That's what you tell me. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude, you're nuts.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is that I have a feeling in my heart that feels really good. Right. Yeah. But so anyway, so once this gentleman softened my heart enough to remember all that, I realized God was like trying to bring me in. And there was one time where I got in a fight, and I went to the hole, and I got on my knees, and this is like 6 months before I was saved. I got on my knees and I just screamed out. I was just like, God, if you're real, please, I this has to end. I can't do this no more. I can't keep going back to prison. I can't keep using drugs. Like I give me the strength to stop using drugs and wanting to do it. I know what having a regular life is. Please bring me back from that. And then, nothing, happened like right away, but it was all like this miracle. He was doing all these things in my life. He was removing the bad people and inserting all the right people to let me know that he's real, right? And once I gave my life over to Christ and I realized that it's real because the Holy Spirit like washed me. Once it washed me and all my desires changed, like my desires to lie, my desires to have a not marital sex, to use drugs, to drink, all of it was gone. And I was like, this is so real. This is so real.
Yeah. Your wife wants you to talk about how Greg prayed.
Greg and how
tell him about Greg and how he prayed.
Oh, yeah. So there's this. So I used to have an issue with like praying out loud. And I lived in a sober living environment. It was a Christian sober living place. And I lived there with this guy, and I always when it came like around for me to pray, I would just be like, I was real hesitant and scared, and because this guy Greg was so good, the way he prayed, you just felt like he was bringing in, like he is a harvester. You know what I mean? He's like a harvester of souls, the way he prays, and it's just amazing. But he's a really good guy and a close friend of mine still today. Although I haven't talked to him in a while, but it's just amazing. But life has been amazing ever since. I wasn't looking for a wife. All I was doing was going to church, going to meetings every once in a while, but I was doing a lot of church stuff. I was volunteering down at the homeless shelter. I was bringing Bible studies down to the homeless shelter. And these guys are all drunk and high, and it was really hard. But I was trying to tell them my story. Like, look, I get it. I was just there. I was just homeless with you guys. And they're like, what? Because I'm pulling up in not a new Dodge Ram, but, I'm pulling up in a nice truck. I clean. All the things that they weren't, that I know that they want. They don't want to be in pain and be high. I don't know. Anyway, so I knew that's where God was putting me. Every Sunday right after church, I would go there and try to witness to people. And, and I was on fire. It's like that pink cloud that a lot of people talk about. Anyways, life was amazing. And I just, it has kind of ebbed and flowed. Like when I was really going through it last year, I never stopped believing that'll never happen because it's too real in my life. But you get discouraged because you don't know what his plan is for you, and you're going through turmoil, and it's really hard to be like Job and to like, lean in and like trust God, because you start not trusting yourself, because you think you're in control. I think I'm in control, so I'm making all these wrong decisions. All these bad things are happening to me because of what I'm doing, when really it's not. It's just where God needed me to be, and he needed me to learn these lessons of greed, and or even though I never thought of myself as greedy, but really I am. I really am. Not I guess even I guess what I'm saying is I never thought of wanting nice things as greed. But that's what I have to call it, because, I did want nice things. I wanted a motorcycle. I wanted a boat. I wanted a house. I wanted all these things. But God just wasn't ready to. And I don't believe in the prosperity gospel at all. Maybe there's some. I don't know. I just don't buy it. I don't.
It's totally anti-biblical.
Yeah.
It really
exactly. That's how I feel. I didn't mean to put a caveat on it. I'm just
Oh no.
I just don't want to, push away that anyone who's really trying to understand God.
So Angie just has a good point here. Angie's dad was a church hopper. He was looking for the most prestigious people to worship with. Total hypocrisy. Absolutely. Really confusing for children, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brazy, we will get to your questions at the end. They're good questions. I have them starred, just so you don't think I'm ignoring you.
Awesome.
Yes. Okay.
So that's where I've landed today. And, I've had some really nice tattoo shops and I use those shops for the Lord, loud and proud. I have lots of, Jesus memorabilia. I want people to, I give people a reason to talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
And it works for the most part, it works for the most part. But, last year we had the bad year. My back, I have a lot of health issues with my back. It's actually better now. Praise God.
Oh, good.
I got these hip injections. It's called a lumbar epidural. And it's amazing. It's about 4 years too late, though. I should have had them 4 years ago when I first got all the X-rays and the MRIs and the CAT scans. I should have got them then because they've seen what was happening. But anyways, that's a whole nother thing. So now I do feel better, but I'm kind of transitioning into this world of YouTube, and because I was going to retire, I'm in too much pain. I can't tattoo. So I kind of just fell into the legal community of YouTube because I have a lot to say about legal stuff. I'm super anti-drinking and driving. So that was like my original goal was just to find all the DUI stuff and just really be like a spokesperson for DUIs. But I just kind of end up being a little bit of everything. Karens in court are always funny, and
aren't they?
But then God felt a need to connect me with Tommy Scoville. Well, I've always known him as Rocco, and Brett. I always knew him as Brett. And so all that happened, and most of the people that are here know that story. I was I seen this picture on a thumbnail, and I was like, I know this dude, and then it hit me, and so I said,
but I knew him with hair.
He did.
Yeah,
I was like,
hey,
remember? It's Casper. Yeah, and I didn't even go by Casper anymore. That was my old street name, my thug name, and he's like, anyways, he was like, Casper, no way. What? This is crazy. And then we just started talking. And I was telling him about, how God had changed my life. And he was like, yeah, me too. I believe in God too. And then when we were doing the lives, he never really talked about it. And when I would bring it up, he would kind of, always, he'd pivot a little bit, or your higher power, which is fine. Just please have a willingness to believe that there's something more, and then I will introduce you to Christ.
Yes, absolutely.
By revealing,
I think that's one thing I loved about you, and the reason I wanted to have you on this channel is because you are not apologetic about your faith, whereas Brett and a whole pile of other people will soften themselves in order to be attractive to other people. And I am not quiet at all about my faith. And I have a lot of people on my channel who are atheist, who've been hurt by the church, people who refuse to go to church, people who like all of these people. And you know what? They're great too. They're wonderful human beings. And they know that I'm not going to judge them for their lives, their lifestyles.
That's right.
Like I can give you specific scriptures to tell you why I don't judge them.
That's right. That's right.
Or 1 Corinthians chapter 5, the last 3 or 4 verses. So if you ever want to ever look that up. So but that's you just gotta stand by what you believe in. Stand for something or you'll fall for anything, basically.
Oh man, that is very that is such a true statement. That is such a true statement. So we all know how that ended up.
Yes. Yep.
Funny, not funny,
See,
right?
had you and I not each found that channel, we wouldn't have this conversation.
That's right. That's right.
Right? And
Yep,
a lot of the
that's
people who are in this chat wouldn't have each other here in this chat if they
That's
had
right.
not been with that channel in the past.
Right.
So God has a purpose for everything, even the bad stuff
Yeah.
that goes
Yeah.
on, right? Even the hurtful
Yep.
stuff.
Yep. And it's funny. I struggle with the YouTube thing a little bit because I have a desire to, I want to like engage everybody, you know what I mean? But but if they're offended just by my faith, then I'm sorry. I can't, there's nothing I can do about that.
No.
But I'm not judging you. Come have fun with us. And hopefully they will see God's character revealed in me, right? And then something will happen. And that's why I want everybody to be there. Yeah, for clicks. Yeah, of course, you want people to watch your stuff. You want views. You want you want to be compensated by AdSense. Because
I would love to get to 1,000 viewers. I'd like to get to 500. I'm just over 260, and I'm excited because that's the highest I've ever been.
Oh man!
But honestly, I cannot. I'll talk to you about it later. No, financially, this is costing me. It's not even feasible at this moment.
Yeah,
because of how much it costs just for the software and other stuff that goes on and. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So. Yeah. I was before I was monetized, I was probably paying $80 a month in this like the assets that I use to edit videos, because I do a lot of video editing, like hours and hours of video editing.
Right.
Because I didn't
see your
lives.
Graphics are awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I really got good at it really fast. Yeah, thank you. I don't use templates or anything like that. Like everything I do, I use references, what other people have done. I'm like, oh, that I like the way he did that, and I'll do my own version of that. But it's crazy. But I know like every gift I have, every talent I have is God given, and if I'm just trying to see where He's steering me right now. I think it's lovely that He steered me to your podcast to talk to you this evening.
I am so glad for that. Yes.
Yeah. I just think it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you and I are definitely going to have to continue our relationship and have to get to know your wife a little bit too. My husband refuses to do anything online, like YouTube wise.
Yeah.
He's an engineer and he is very introverted. Like not so like he's not shy, but he is very much, this is me, this is mine. I'm going to leave it there. You go ahead and you be you and you be all out there. I do keep some stuff back because frankly, I like to honor my husband in that I won't put our baggage online and that kind of stuff.
That's right.
And into comments. Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Keeper is what they call him.
That's
he is a good helper when I paint. So I painted this one online just to do a painting sort of tutorial relaxing thing. So on my channel, and he was like
going here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So he was like focusing in on it, and I mean every now and then he'll just laugh.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can I share to share the tattoo I did that is that style that I shared with you?
Yes.
So I think those like the one on my left that has the multicolor sunset or sun, whichever it is gorgeous. Those colors are gorgeous. And it reminded me of this tattoo that I did of this elephant. And it's almost the same tree, right?
It is almost the same tree. Yeah.
But this is an African tree that has
yes,
pesky notification.
It's a banyan, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they are banyans. Yeah. But
that's a beautiful elephant.
I did that on Mariana's coworker. I did on her side. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She really went through it too. The sides do. You feel them. You feel the sides.
Yeah. Oh, those ribs. Anytime you're beside a bone. I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't really see this tattoo,
I don't
but
see
it
a
is a
tattoo.
cross. No, I got it specifically light so that you wouldn't see it, because there's a lot of Christians who are very insulted by tattoos. Let's see. Where's
Yes.
a good
Yes.
light? Anyway,
Um,
so I didn't want to have something that people would go, look at you, you know. So I have a
Yeah.
very light tattoo there, and it's a cross with the scales of justice on it. And it talks about God's justice versus man's justice. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Then I have
Wow.
a butterfly on the inside of my right ankle. Again, inside of the ankle, you cross your legs. Nobody will have to see it, right? No big deal.
Right.
And it's a butterfly because of 1 Corinthians chapter 5:17. If anyone's in Christ, he's a new creation. Old has passed away. All things have become new. And then
Amazing.
the third tattoo that I have is feathers coming down my leg and then a plume up and around it. And that's Psalm 91, verse 4. He has covered me with his feathers, and under his wings I will find refuge.
Oh,
So
that's gorgeous.
every
Yeah.
one of my tattoos has to do with A, something meaningful, and B, usually scriptural. So,
What psalm
yeah.
was that again?
Which one? Psalm
The
91?
The feather one. Yeah.
Yeah, 91,
91?
verse 4. Yeah.
I want to design something with that, like do some nice lettering with the feathers. I want to design something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, the next time I'm on, I would love to talk about the tattoos in Christianity, because I have a little spiel I do. A spiel. I said spiel. It's not even a word. I have a little spiel that I do with scripture. So I'll have my Bible ready.
So this is the
And,
one on my ankle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was the
that's
first
cool.
one. On our first date, we drove by a biker tattoo place, and I said I wanted to get a tattoo. He looks at me and says, "You are not getting a tattoo." So the day you put a ring on my finger, that's when you can tell me what I do with my body. Thank you very much.
That's right. That's right.
It took me 15 years to convince him to let me get a tattoo.
Wow.
And then, yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. When it says not to tattoo, it says not to tattoo for the dead. It doesn't say not to tattoo.
Yeah,
when you look at the
that-
actual, yeah.
There's some scripture in Romans that talk about discourse between each other as brothers
Yes.
and sisters in Christ. And
Yeah.
so I usually I don't have I can't memorize scripture, but I have my whole little thing that in my
general
Bible
idea, right?
Yeah, I have it all written down in my Bible, the scriptures and then the conversation I have down, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, well, I would love to do that with you. Talk about Christians and
Absolutely.
tattoos. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
Yes.
actually a
Yeah,
great
in
idea.
Romans,
for a show.
it is. Let me write that down. So, tattoo show. See, I have a page with your name on it. So this is my
Yay!
Sam
Yay!
page.
Yeah,
So yeah, absolutely. A tattoo show would be fantastic.
yeah,
In the book of Romans, though, it says specifically, it talks about having if my the word has escaped me, conscience says that it's okay, then it's probably okay. If your conscience says it's not okay, it's probably not okay. When the two meet, if my conscience saying it's okay tries to overcome yours, I am now sinning because
That's
I'm
right.
causing you to go against your conscience.
oh,
Right?
beautifully
So
said.
tattoos-
Beautifully said.
I think that's Romans chapter 14, I think.
It's for look. I just wrote it down. 14.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yep.
I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. I was just gonna say it's chapter 14. That's
Yeah,
funny.
it's Romans.
Yeah. Oh no, I know it's Romans 14. I just because I talk about it when other Christians say, "Oh, what do you think about?" I'm just like, look. So I always read chapter 14, and once you read it, the Holy Spirit's amazing. You might go into a conversation or a witness situation, or even as harvesters, like in the commission. You go into something not knowing what you're going to say, and you might be nervous, but the Holy Spirit is so amazing that it will just give you the words to say. It'll take you where you need to be in the Bible. It's just, I love it. So I always know, if I have the scripture to start with, we're going to have an amazing conversation. I mean, we don't even need that, but I love it.
On every weekday, I do a devotional at 2 p.m. And this month we're talking about promises of God. So today we talked about leading and guiding. And so we looked at a number of different verses to do with wisdom and where leading comes from. And the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God, right? So you look a little further in Proverbs and you find out in chapter 3 that wisdom is female. Did you know that?
I did know that. I wanted to say something funny, but I couldn't think of anything. How dare you? Good day, ma'am.
Yes, exactly. It is specifically female.
That doesn't surprise me.
Not bad for a misogynistic, anti-feminist book, huh?
That's right. That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
That's so funny.
No, I think we definitely need to do that. And Mariana, if she's still in the chat, she was taking care of your little one going to bed. No, if you seriously would like to be on that panel on the 1st, I'd love to have you. You and your wife.
It's on the 1st?
It's on the 1st. It'll be the 1st, same time as this, 6 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be all right.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great.
Let me just see what day of the week that is.
That's a Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. Not a problem.
Excellent.
Well, yeah, count us in. For me, for sure.
Awesome. Okay.
But both of us would be awesome. We are discussing possibly doing a couples Bible channel.
Cool.
I don't know. We already have 3 channels right now, so I don't want to be that guy.
Between the two of you, it gets you through. And yes, Rudy, Psalms does have more than 99 chapters, so there's lots and lots of chapters in Psalms.
It's like, is it 140 or no? It's more than that.
There's 151, I think.
151
or 150. Yeah. No, I went to Bible school when I quit doing hair. It was because I had 2 little girls who needed mom at home. And then I found out that I am a better mom when I'm not at home all the time. So I went to work, and then at work, it's like, okay, I am not that party girl that I used to be when I was doing hair. Who am I? And then I was thinking, my dad was a pastor and he was also abusive. So if I believe this, is it actually biblical, or is it him lying, or is it just tradition? So I went to Bible school to find out what was biblical versus tradition versus truth and all of that kind of stuff. So I spent 4 years, got a double degree and a teaching certificate. So, I mean, with preschoolers, go for it. Yeah. Preschoolers and just barely diagnosed with bipolar. So, I mean, I don't do things easy. I just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just diagnosed with a lightweight bipolar. Not to be a one-upper or anything like that, but it really just happened, like, I don't know, 4 months ago. And
chances are it's bipolar type 2. You spend more time in depression than you do in mania.
I do.
You've probably never had a psychotic event.
I haven't.
And if it hasn't, exactly. You've never had hospitalized because you're too high. You and I have the same kind of bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. If you ever have any questions about it, email me or whatever. I can give you
I would love to talk to you about it. Because I rejected it. I rejected it at first. I was like, you're crazy. I know bipolar people, you know, and I skipped over it, but I do have a history in mental health. And, but that was the DSM-3R. That was a long time ago.
That's a ways ago. Yeah.
Yeah. We're at the DSM-5 something, I think now, or five. I don't know where we're at, but,
it's DSM-5. 6 is on the way. But
6 is on the way. But I rejected it. You know, I just like, no, there's not. And then that's when they started telling me the different. It's not just one thing, and there's different.
No, there's. I know for a fact that there's 3, possibly 4, and more. But I can name 3 of them. So yeah.
Yeah, and I don't like sleep. I mean, I love sleep when I get it, and I'm like, oh, I should do this every night. But I really I just I don't know. It's been hard. It's been hard.
Yeah, it is. It is tough. Yeah, you and I could talk bipolar on
and I'm
this
not
channel.
taking my meds. Yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna have a talk.
My friend. We will.
Your wife will thank you. My husband, once I started taking meds and went to therapy and saw a psychiatrist, all of that all together, my husband wanted to send my psychiatrist flowers because I was such a different person, but the same person he loved, but so much better mentally. And it will make a huge difference to be compliant on your meds.
Yeah.
You know, it really, really will.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll get off my soapbox. I do mental health presentations, and I happened to do one this morning already. So
yeah.
Yeah, I've been presenting with the Schizophrenia Society, talking about my journey with bipolar since 2011. So I've learned a lot about mental health over the years.
Yeah, wow, that's super cool. Yeah. I'm just going to take a look in the chat, see what's going on in there.
Yes, I'm going to look up Psalm 66 because that's what Rudy is asking about. And Psalm 66, I can't quote it. I'm sorry, Rudy, but I can read it. Oh, it's a long one. It's got 20 verses. But verse 4 says, all the earth bows down to you. They sing praise to you. They sing the praises of your name. So it starts out by saying, shout for joy to God, all the earth. Sing the glory of his name. Make his praise glorious. Say to God, how awesome are your deeds. So great is your power that your enemies cringe before you. All the earth bows down to you. They sing praise to you. They sing the praises of your name. Oh, Rudy, that's a great psalm. Thank you for pointing that one out. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Beautiful. Yep. So, yeah. Okay, so I have 7-starred, 8-starred comments. So let me go through the comments and questions here. Misha was saying, that's the first one. Hard to maintain and nurture relationships, though. She's talking about moving around a lot. It is hard to maintain and nurture relationships. That's exactly what I found. I'm really great at making a first impression. Not so great at maintaining long-term relationships, though. So that's one of the reasons why, you know, my commitment to my husband is like non-negotiable. But everyone else is kind of like, you know, I'm nervous to get in too deep because I've been hurt so much. So,
yeah.
Okay. And then Thought on the Gates of Hell. I'm assuming, is that a book? I don't know it. Sorry. I don't know that one. Brazy had some comments and questions. So comment by Brazy Girl was, if not taught religion from day one, I often wonder how people can reach to God after a difficult time. For example, mental illness, incarceration, etc. Is it a last hope? Can Sam answer? What do you think, sir?
Oh yeah, I would love to answer that. You know, I think throughout your whole life, yeah, you might not be taught religion, but throughout your whole life, little seeds get planted. You might be a coworker, or, you know, in my case, you know, there was hundreds of Christians in prison that were always, you know, talking about it. I've been in situations where the only book I've had was a Bible. And, you know, there was so much alone and dead time that I had to read it just to have something to read. So I think, you know, and I read a lot of other different religious books. I was Buddhist for a while, you know, after I read Many Lives, Many Masters. That's a whole nother story I would love to tell in another show about. It's super crazy. It's really anyways, that's a whole nother thing. I have talked about it on my show at the end of one of my shows.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's when they called it the Casper's Caboose or whatever, the end of the show. I don't know, something like that. But is it a less hope? I'm just rereading the question. And you kind of, because you know, like, okay, if God's in control, then do something. I know I don't worship you. I know I don't praise you, but I don't even know what any of that even means at that point, right? I don't know that, well, I mean, I know I don't know that it's not by works yet. I don't know that it's faith alone, you know?
Yes.
If someone would have, no, I can't say that. I was about to tell a complete lie right now. I was going to say, if someone would have told me, I was going to say, well, I had a thought that if someone would have told me it was faith alone in my teens, I would have been like, well, I would have done it. No, I'm probably not. But I wish I would have understood that earlier. And let me tell you, I was super upset with God when I finally realized all the intrusiveness, all of him like trying to bring me into his arms. And I realized that really didn't start till I was, well, that I can remember, that really didn't even start till I was like 50. And I even told the pastor, I was like, why wait 50 years to like start showing me that how real you are? But
you know that
really
song, He Touched Me?
My entire life.
He touched me, oh, he touched me. Do you know that song?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes he needs to touch you in the head with a 2x4. And that's what has to happen.
And that's what I realized. And once you realize,
that's a Mike
like,
Warnke quote.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. When I said Mike Warnke, I was like, no one's even gonna know what that is. And like, you guys were like, I know who Mike Warnke is.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's so cool.
Off topic.
No, that's all right.
No ADHD in this house. I have it all.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I was really upset, and because I was like, man, why'd you wait? But really, he just had me working on my testimony. You know, I needed to go through that. That was his plan for me to live that life that I had to live to be here today to talk about it.
Absolutely. Because
without that, I would just be some guy, you know, some Christian guy. You know, to say I was saved when I was younger, I'd still have a testimony. You know, even pastors have amazing testimonies.
Oh yeah.
I used to think they didn't. This is a funny, quick little snippet. A pastor asked me to do my testimony one time, and he's like, "Man, I really need you to come do my testimony, to do your testimony." And I was like, "Okay." And I've heard a lot of his testimonies, and they're like, you know, I tried pot, and you know, and I used to drink beer in my 20s. And you know, and I was just, you know, my life was full of, you know, I watched porn 3 times, or you know, something really lame, right? And and I say that in jest. But
no, you're not wrong.
So I was like, and I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, but is your flock ready for me? You know, because you know, I'm a real sinner. You know, that's what I said. And he laughed so hard. He's like, you know what? You should lead with that. Like, hey, everyone, I'm Sam, and I just want to let you know right from the rip that I am a real sinner. I don't know. It was funny at the time.
That is kind of, Let's not compare sinnerness Yeah.
No, not at all. But I really
Yeah.
did. I was concerned that I was going to stun some people.
Yeah, absolutely. And there will be people who will not be ready for that. There are
and they
people who, yeah, there are people who do not believe a chomo can be saved. They don't
Yeah,
believe
that's
that
crazy.
a child molester can be saved. They can. If a
Absolutely,
murderer
they
can,
can.
if
Yep.
the worst, it says in the Bible, sin is sin. A little
Yeah.
lie is the same as the biggest sin you can even think of.
That's right.
An analogy that I have come up with is people say all roads lead to heaven. They don't. But there's a giant target that everybody's aiming for. The problem is, to get into heaven, you have to have perfection. Perfection is a tiny pinpoint in the center of that ginormous earth-sized target. And the only way to get through that pinpoint is by holding the hand of Jesus.
That's right.
The only
That's
way.
right. Amen.
And it's not like people will say, oh, you're so narrow-minded. No, I'm not narrow-minded. I'm specific. You know, how do you get to Casper's house? Well, you go down this place, you go here, you go down that highway, you turn down this road, you go to this city. You know, yeah, all roads can lead south, but they're not all going to make it to Sam's house.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, like, and that's
Yeah.
that's the thing, is it's not narrow, it's specific. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
totally off this topic.
No,
Yes.
I love it.
Okay. Brazy had another comment. Brazy's grandpa prayed every day, took her kids to church. Dad never took them, cursed like a trucker. Once he was diagnosed with cancer, he went to church. And
Of course he
like
did.
Sam said, he needed to go through ABCD to get to Z, which is where he needed to end up, right?
Yeah.
And it may
And
seem there's
sometimes-
going to be a lot of people out there who say either you wasted your life or you hurt so many people. How could you imagine that you'd still be saved? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I will admit, I thought that my sin was too much to be forgiven. You know, but I didn't understand the power of Christ, how like he died for the entire world.
And then some, yeah.
So my little sins, yeah, they're big to me, and they might be big to other people or someone else, or to some people, I might just be like, what? That's all you did? And it's not about like how much we did or what we did, and that's why you have to believe that Chomo can be saved. I know it's hard. Right. How hard do you think it was for me? I was stabbing Chomos in prison.
Yeah, exactly.
Stabbing them. So, you know, like, am I going to be forgiven for that? Of course I am. But I didn't think so. I swear to God, I didn't think so. I believed a child molester would be saved before I was, because I was stabbing them, because I was so grateful.
Hurting them.
Yeah.
So Cosmic Connection, so that's Cosmic Christie, said she'd love to hear the conversation about tattoos.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
We'll do that.
That's going to happen.
And Crystal has a very good point. It says right in the Bible, God has all of our names written on the palm of his hand. Chances are that'd be like a tattoo, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. Yep.
Just the thought there. Indigo says, if you haven't read it, I recommend the book called The River of God by Gregory J. Riley. Okay, I will write that down.
I definitely know who Gregory J. Riley is.
Okay, who is that?
No, I know who he is as an author.
Oh, okay. And it is River of God.
I might have even seen a video series by him. I don't know. I could be mistaken. I need a water. I'm going to grab a water really fast.
Absolutely. 1 second. So Indigo is not bipolar, but they know that and agree that being on top of your meds is absolutely needed. got off your schedule, and yikers, that is for sure. Absolutely. Being on top of your meds is 100% essential. And let me just make this very crystal clear. Once you're on psych meds and you're feeling better, don't go off your meds without your doctor's assistance. Feeling better does not mean you're cured. It means your meds are working. Please understand that. If you're having a hard time with that concept, go to your doctor. Your doctor will tell you, okay, yeah, let's reduce your meds. Let's work at it safely. Because if you go off like cold turkey, chances are you will have a bad situation. So I'm just going to encourage you, talk to your doctor before you go off any psych meds. Okay.
Yeah. I can tell you my issue was, my issue was, I needed to be awake more, and I was just sleeping. I didn't want to,
Yep.
I just didn't want to, and this is how I when I started to believe that I do have it, I love the manicky parts. I get a high from it.
Don't we all?
Especially as an addict.
Absolutely.
I love being in that. Even if I'm like, I can be manicky just typing,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's what I'm doing on the computer. I don't have to be flailing around. And that dulls that part. And when it dulls that, I don't know. It's something I need to work out though, for sure, because I think I would be a better creator, a better Christian. I just think I'd just be better.
People are afraid that on meds, they're going to lose their personality, that they're not going to have the energy, that it's going to dull them too much. My meds have not dulled my creativity. Look at that. I didn't become an artist until years after I started medications. I sleep all the time, but that's not my meds. That is my body needing to heal. Mm-hmm. And meds are amazing.
I know this, the best artwork I've ever done and the best tattoos I've ever done, I've always been even keel on my meds. My artwork is because I'm not impatient with it. I can focus and I can,
Exactly. Yep. That's exactly right. And Brazy was saying that Dad waited 50 years, and it's the same as you. It took that 50 years for that to kind of culminate in being, I don't know, ripe, if that's the right word. You had to ripen.
I like it. I'm trying to think of a t-shirt right now. Ripe is all get out.
And we're not talking this kind of thing, though, are we?
Not that kind of ripe. Yeah, that's right.
Not that kind of ripe. Okay. Let's see. Brazy is asking Crystal if she ever saw The Passion of the Christ. Have you seen that movie, Sam?
Have I? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That is an amazing movie. And people have asked me why it's called Passion of the Christ. Like, why is it called Passion Week? And like, what has passion got to do with any of that? I have an answer for you.
Oh,
because you didn't ask, I'll tell you. Basically, have you ever loved somebody enough that your heart hurts when they aren't there? That your heart feels huge and swells up when they are, that you would do literally anything for them. That's how Jesus feels about you. That's why it's called The Passion.
Love that. Yeah. That was my answer in about 10 sentences less than I would have described it.
Sorry.
That's exactly it. No, you did it perfectly. Like sometimes my the way I speak it, I feel it can be convoluted at times. It's just because my mind is working so fast that I don't feel like it's articulate or succinct. Yeah. But yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Angie Moe is saying her stepdad was bipolar. He would go on and off his meds. Absolutely. It's horrific. You'd be terrified. He ended up unaliving himself. Oh, in front of me and my mom. Oh, I am so sorry to hear that, my girl. Oh,
Yeah,
that's terrible.
I'm sorry, Angie. That's heavy. That's so heavy.
The more you go off your meds, the harder it is to get meds that will work properly. Like if I'm on these 3 meds and I go off them, then suddenly I don't, and I go back on my meds. Do I take these 3 again? No, I have to take 2 more. And I go off those ones. If I go back on, I have to take another however many and however many and however many. So, and it's not because I've gone off my meds that I'm on so many medications. I'm on like 15 different prescriptions. So not all of them are for bipolar, but it's just known scientifically that if you go off your meds, your brain damages that much more before you can go on to get new meds again. So it's just
interesting.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. Because I can tell you, like, I felt amazing when I was on this specific medication. It was just one. I can say what it is. It was Seroquel, and it was a really
lovely.
low. Yeah, it was a really low dose. And I know people that are taking 500 milligrams a day in the morning and night. I took just 50 milligrams. Yeah, I just take 50 milligrams. Sometimes I split that in half and just do 25 at night. And I was perfect. I didn't have these weird agoraphobia. I get agoraphobia really bad sometimes now. The older I get it a little bit more. I mean, I fight it and I go out and I socialize. I'm super social. But I think that's just because I've been that way my entire life that I know it can be done. But the feeling inside is I don't want to go back into that place. I left my phone.
Absolutely.
I left my phone in my best friend's house, and his wife's family was over there, and I left it there, and I couldn't go back in and get it. I was that panicky, so I just left it there and went home.
Anxiety. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. No, you're
and
right. That is anxiety.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Anxiety is crippling, and it is a chemical imbalance in your brain that needs medication to fix. And that's what we'll talk about this when we do our mental health discussion.
Yeah, I would love to do that too. I really would.
Awesome.
Man, we got lined up.
We do. Right there. And actually,
crazy.
That's something we have talked about. Sam is going to come back. We're going to aim to get him back once a month. Probably the 3rd or 4th Tuesday. You said last Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, the last Tuesday. That way it's easy for me to remember.
Well, let's say the 4th because sometimes there's 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know what I mean? So the 4th Tuesday of every month, we're going to aim toward having Sam and Mariana together. Either way, we're good. But Sam has a lot to offer us, and I can't wait to get to know you better. So this is cool.
Me too.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been awesome.
Awesome. That's great. So Rudy, you were asking me if I could count to 100. Is that right? You want me to count to 100? Okay, I can do it on one hand. Did you know that? You can count to 100 on one hand? Okay. In sign language, American Sign Language. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So you've got the 2 and the 0, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And you keep going that same way. So, and you do that all the way up to 99. So, and 99 is like 22 is like this. 99 is 99. Okay. And then C is 100. Right. Actually, I can count to 1,000. So you've got 999. And that's how you count to
That is
1,000 on one hand. So
sign
let's
language
count
is
just
gorgeous.
sign language is beautiful. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like to
it's
talk
beautiful.
too much, so I learned how to do sign language. So I can talk to anybody.
Yeah, you are so smart.
The question is, can you say thank you in more than 40 languages? This is
In
the question.
more than 40? I didn't even know 40 languages existed.
Oh, honey,
That's
that's 40
without-
languages in a quarter of India. So yeah.
No, I know India has. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew there was more than 40, but it's crazy that there is. Yeah.
Okay, Rudy wants me to keep counting. So where did we get? 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 100. Now, Rudy, do you know this? Do you know this secret of counting even more than 100? After you get to 100, you start again at 0. So 100, so that's 1 0, and then 100, and you say 1 again. 100, 2. So you count to 100 the same way you count to 200. Okay, so you can try that. I left off at 99. Okay, 99, 100. There we go.
Yeah, I thought you skipped 99. I was like, whoa, she skipped 99.
I'm sorry if I skipped 99. My bad. Anyway,
That's all
so
right.
yes, so that's the secret to counting to more than 100. You put the 100 and then you put the other part behind it. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can practice that. So Rudy
That's awesome.
has autism. So
Yeah.
for him, finishing off things is really important.
That's
Finishing
amazing.
them off in order is wonderful.
I love that.
Yes. Yes. Angie Mo is right. Sam is the man. Glad you're in our world. I am so
Thank
glad
you
you're
so
here,
much.
Sam.
I
I am
appreciate
so
that.
glad that we both went to the boat, found each other, and I think that
Yeah.
iron sharpens iron. You know, we can all be
Yes,
good,
it
better
does.
together, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, yep. Yes, Rudy,
I-
I do have a
Angie,
pen and
I really
paper, but I'm
appreciate
not
that.
going to write to 100 right now. Okay, bud? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sam, you were saying?
Oh, I just was thinking, Angie, that was I'm grateful I can be here. You know.
Me too. Me too.
Yep. Super
Your wife is a
grateful.
lucky woman.
She's she's amazing too. So is this little
Yeah, I
munchkin
saw-
that keeps trying to peek in. Yeah.
God,
You can come say hi.
Yeah, hi, Hazen.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, I love your jammies. Those are so cute.
My bottoms
Yeah.
are really fluffy.
Her bottoms are really fluffy. They're like velour.
Yeah.
They're like a velour.
That's
They're really
the
really
best.
cool.
Okay, I got to tell you, my bedding, my blankets are like total fluff. Like they're like your pants, but a whole blanket made out of that. Every night, I'm not kidding. Every night I go to sleep and I say, thank you, God, for the warm, fuzzy blankets. I love warm and fuzzy. I just
My
love them.
mom, my grandma on Christmas when I was 3, my mom was looking at really fluffy blankets and she decided to get one, and then I got my own, but it wasn't fluffy. It was like that texture that get like stuck to your skin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. That's called Sherpa. It's kind of like a sheep,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's called Sherpa. And my daughter's best friend, she and I are gonna do a show sometime in the near future. And she has some sensory issues. And Sherpa is one of her worst things. She cannot handle having it around her because it's like it claws onto her
Yes.
skin and she can't stand it. So no,
Same.
go to Costco. Costco has some really good blankets
That's where we get all our blankets. Yeah. We have stacks
Yeah.
and stacks.
Yeah,
They
there's
are the
literally a
best.
stack in here over there.
Yeah, there's a stack in here.
We have blankets all over our house, mostly because I like to keep the house cold. I'm like, okay, you're too hot,
Yeah.
get a blanket. I'm comfortable. You can get a blanket. You don't want me to take my clothing off. Simple as that. So
My mom always, it's exactly like that, but with a movie. Like,
There
she's
you
like,
go.
we have to watch Daddy's live. Then I'm like, but I want to watch Winnie the Pooh.
She goes, I want to watch Winnie the Pooh.
oh yeah. Winnie the Pooh. Which one do you like best? Which Winnie the Pooh do you like best?
I first started to like it, and then I didn't know which one it was, and then one day I lost it, so I basically don't know what it's called. But the one that
I like the one with the heffalump. I like the one with the heffalump, the Halloween one, where they have to go find the heffalump that's stuck in the tree. That's a good one.
I've never watched that episode. But
you can find it.
the one that I don't like the most is the chapter book one.
Really? Why is that? Is it just too long?
No, it's just that I don't like them. Like, they turn the pages so slowly.
Oh yeah, that gets hard. You watch that on 2 times.
Yeah, she's like, I want to watch the next
You have ADHD
page.
as well, don't you?
Possible.
Possible. C'est possiblement.
And another thing that I don't like about my dad's shows is because, every time you say something, it doesn't 10 minutes after. And it's basically confusing.
She says it's confused.
Yeah, so when we look at what's writing
backwards.
over there, when we look at the writing, it takes a long time for the computer, all of those little blah, 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 to go through the air for your dad's computer to talk to my computer. It takes just a long time to get there. So we end up commenting a lot later. That's why.
She loves Jesus, huh? She loves Jesus.
I try to go to church with my mom and dad so I learn more.
Awesome.
But on my first day, I went to the church that we're going to. And I wanted, my parents were begging me to go to my class, and then they actually announced that my teacher was going, and I was like, yay!
She likes going in with the adults because of the music.
No, the music was too loud.
Oh, the music
I
was
wanted
too
to
loud.
go into the class, but I was too scared.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that can be scary when you're by yourself, right? And you don't know anybody yet. That can be scary. I used to get scared of that all the time.
I used to go to one that I didn't like because there was a teenager boy there all the time.
Yeah, I didn't like that one
Those
either.
are scary right there. Teenager boys are just plain scary.
Yeah.
Remember that until you're 21. Teenager boys are scary. After you're 21, then you're allowed to say, okay, yeah, they're okay. Maybe they'll grow a brain. I'm not sure if they do yet. I'm waiting for my husband to grow one, and he'll be 55 this year. So, that's
Yeah. It took me that long
yeah.
to grow a brain.
I basically am rich. My whole entire my mom and dad got me a really fancy wallet, and my not even
Ross,
my
we got
mom,
it at Ross.
Not even my mom could carry it.
She filled it with change, so she's really rich right now.
But you know what actually makes you really rich? First of all, the pennies. You'll get more pennies for a whole $1 than you'll get quarters for $1. Did you know that? Seriously, That you get
But every
you get
time I
100 for $1, you get 100 pennies, but you only get 4 quarters. So aim for those
kind of
pennies.
lame.
She goes, "That's kind of lame."
It's my logic.
Not what you're saying, but that it is like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What can I say? I'm good at math. I'm not good at math. I teach English.
I'm good at-
I teach art. Pardon?
Betcha I could go to I could go to a math class. My mom and dad can make a math paper, do the hardest ones in the world, and I'll beat you.
Jeez.
Okay.
Okay.
You've got confidence. You go, girl.
Yeah. She's a warrior kid. Huh.
Do
Awesome.
karate class at my after.
She does karate class. Yeah.
But can you make rings like this?
No.
No?
See, she's better.
But my mom can have that type of ring. Like I could go and make one out of clay maybe.
Maybe. I started
Maybe.
out by making things out of clay. I'm not kidding. I started out by making things out of clay. You would be surprised how really good that makes it to do.
What is that? Oh.
Yes. And Eric is
Well,
right.
it's like
Sam's
there's
daughter
nothing
is
here but-
smart.
Yeah, she's the best. I love her. I think I'll keep her.
Okay.
I actually
Well,
practiced.
Hazley, you know what?
We gotta
I'm
go.
really sorry. But yeah, I got to go to bed soon. So, my husband also likes to
Past
see
my
me on
bedtime.
occasion.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me this evening.
You're so welcome.
Past my bedtime. I have
Thank you
school
for
tomorrow.
coming, Sam. I am so
You're
proud
welcome.
that you chose to come on my little channel.
Oh,
Anyway,
geez,
yeah.
I'm.
I said that you look kind of scary at first and bossy.
Bossy
Really?
If you were my
I've been told that
sister,
before.
then I'd be scared.
because of teachers. She's learning how teachers can be bossy. So I think that's funny that she got the teacher vibe from you. Yeah.
I
So
am a
she's like
teacher.
she's scared of some of her teachers, and some of her teachers she really loves.
My favorite one is Miss D-Lap, and she's my favoriteest kindergarten teacher in the school. Like, she gives me candy all the time. My friend with her.
Yeah? Is that what
Well,
makes her a
actually-
good teacher, is the candy?
Ah,
okay.
what a joke. That's a joke.
Do you know what? Hazley,
so
I have to
nice,
tell
like-
you a story.
She's nicer than her regular teacher.
And
She is, though.
Well,
It's Miss
Kindergarten
D-Lap and
teachers,
Miss
of course.
and Miss Pro, which is best second or first grade teacher,
Mhm.
and she's so nice. And Miss D-Lap mixed up with that would actually be a really good teacher.
Oh, cool.
She's doing
Can I tell you a
DNA
secret?
mixing, genome mixing.
You're going to be a scientist. It's very scientistic. So I need to tell you a story. When I was in grade 2, my school made a whole new award just for me. When I was in
Wow.
grade 2, when I was in grade 2, I would not do my work because I was helping the other kids do their work. So
I'm
not
my
really?
teacher knew that I knew what I was doing, but I was helping my friends do all their work. And she's like,
Yeah.
no, Kim, you have to sit in your desk till you're finished. She had to put she put masking tape around my desk so you're not allowed to leave this square until after you're finished your work. And then you can go help your friends. So they created an award at my school called the Community Award.
Wow.
Or no, the Civic Award. Yep. And I was the
Yeah.
first ever one to get it. So
That's
I'm pretty
awesome.
proud of that.
I'm not gonna lie, the background behind you, I used to go to Buttons and Bows, and
Yeah.
the little kid one time we went there for pictures to take pictures by yourself, and but also today was my school together picture day.
The group
And,
photos.
Oh, class pictures.
But I used to go to Buttons and Bows, and the picture like the painting on
She
the
painted
wall
those.
looked exactly. It literally looks exactly like this.
Was
No,
it
not
like this
that.
one, like this one, or that
No.
one?
Not any of those, but the one yeah.
Oh, the green stuff?
Yeah. Okay.
Grass.
I painted my daughter's bedroom to look like a park. So there's little flowers, there's butterflies. We used to have fairies flying on the walls. Yeah, there's clouds in the
Ooh.
sky. You can't see it from here, but let me show you. You look at there's clouds.
Oh wow.
So
Wow,
Yeah.
that is so cool.
That squishmallow looks exactly like the one that we bought for St. Patrick's Day for both of my school. For that
Oh, it
one.
does.
But it
We
was
just bought one of those
teal.
for Miss
But it-
Tila.
Yeah, but it wasn't that big. It was like a tiny one, like this big.
She got it for her teachers.
okay. Yeah,
All
my
righty.
daughter gave me this one for my birthday last year.
Mhm.
So yeah. Anyway, I gotta go.
Thank you so
everybody
much.
for coming.
Thank you, everyone in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't get to talk to everybody, but I will see everyone tomorrow morning.
Yes,
But I love
we'll see
you
you
guys.
tomorrow morning at Morning Mayhem, and I'll try not to sleep through it,
Okay,
which is why I tend to
awesome.
get you on the replay.
Okay, thank you for being there and watching and participating. Though I love it. I
Hey,
love it.
no
still.
problem, no problem. It's a lot of fun.
All right,
All righty. Have a great night, everybody.
all right. You too. Bye. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night,
Bye,
Hazley.
guys. Bye.
Some come with scars, some come with dreams. In this circle, we're more than what we seem. No judgment here, just voices to be heard. Through laughter, through the tears, we find every word.
I'm my brother's keeper. I'm my sister's guide. Standing here together with nothing left to hide. We lift each other up when the world feels torn apart. We're keepers of the flame. We're the healers of the heart.